Good morning. So let me recollect what has been taught in the previous class. So in the previous class, we have come across the microprocessor-based personal computer system. So why we need the microprocessor-based personal computer system? Answer is to perform some useful functions or useful tasks. We have to form a system using the microprocessor as the CPU and interfacing the memory and input and output devices to it. Okay, so the computer system built with the microprocessor is called the microprocessor based personal computer system. Okay, and what are the components of the microprocessor based personal computer system? So the microprocessor based personal computer system consists of three blocks: the memory, the microprocessor, the input and output devices. Okay, and you already know the memory map of a personal computer system. Okay, and also the few details on the microprocessor also. Okay, so what is microprocessor then? Microprocessor is the heart of any computer system, and it has the ability to perform arithmetic, logical, and the decision operations. Okay, and there are three main tasks that are performed by the microprocessor in the computer system. Okay, these are data transfer between itself and the memory and IO units, then arithmetic and logical operations. Then the third one is program flow via decision making. That means it enables your program to conditionally execute particular blocks of code. And how the data is stored and where the data is stored. Data is stored in memory or the internal registers of the microprocessors. Okay, and the width of the data can varies from one microprocessor to another microprocessor. Say for example, 8086, 8088, and 80286 can directly manipulate 8-bit data and 16-bit data because they are 16-bit microprocessor. Okay, whereas the 80386 and above microprocessor can execute all the three: 8-bit, 16-bit, and 32-bit because they are 32-bit microprocessor. So Pentium 4 and the Core 2 microprocessor can execute all the 3 bits of data, like 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, and 64-bit data. And then we have come across the buses. Okay, so what do you mean by bus? Bus is a communication channel. Okay, bus is a set of common group of wires that interconnects all the components of a computer. Okay, and 3 buses exist for transfer of information between the memory, the microprocessor, and the input and output units. Okay, so which are those buses? Anybody? Can you name these 3 buses? Students, are you there? The address bus, the data bus, and the control bus. So what is address bus? Address bus carries address to the memory or input or output unit. Okay, and the address bus is unidirectional. That means it can be supplied by the central processing unit or the microprocessor only. Okay, reverse is not true. Okay, and the width of the address bus determines the maximum possible available memory on the microprocessor. So, for example, the 8086 microprocessor can address 1 megabyte of memory. Okay, that means how many memory locations in decimal? It is almost 1,48,575 memory locations. Okay, and at each memory location, we can store an 8-bit data. Okay, all are byte addressable. Okay, so it can address up to 1 megabyte of memory. Okay, using the 20-bit address lines. Okay, so that selects memory location from 0 to 1,48,575. Okay, that is in decimal. Okay, the address range in hexadecimal will be 50H to 5F. Okay, 5FH. Yeah, then the data bus are used to carry data between the microprocessor and the memory and input output unit. And data bus is bidirectional because the microprocessor requires to send and receive data. Okay, so that is why it is bidirectional. Okay, and the width of the data bus determines the word length of the microprocessor. Okay, that means the data bus determines the microprocessor architecture. Say for example, 8086 has 16-bit data bus. Okay, it has 16-bit data bus. The word length of the 8086 microprocessor is the 16-bit. Okay. Similarly, the other microprocessors. Okay. The 80386 microprocessor can transfer 32-bit of data. Okay. Similarly, Pentium 4 through Core 2 microprocessor can transfer 64-bit of data. So like that. Then coming to the control bus. So control bus are used to carry the control signals and the timing signals. The control signals indicate the type of the operation, whereas the timing signals are used to synchronize the memory and input output unit operation with the CPU clock. And there are 4 control signals or control connections, which are those: MRDC, memory read control bar, MWTC, memory write control. Okay. Then IORC, input output read control. Okay, and then IOWC, input output write control. Okay, and in these control line, the over bar indicates that they must be active low. Okay, that means they are active when logic 0 is applied on these control lines or control signals. That's all what I discussed in the previous class. Okay, so this is the today's agenda. We'll discuss the microprocessor and its the architecture. Okay, so here we'll discuss the internal microprocessor architecture, which contains the programming model and the registers. Okay. So before the program is written for a microprocessor or any instruction is investigated, okay, so the internal configuration of the microprocessor must be known. Okay, so here we will discuss the details of the program visible internal architecture of 8086 microprocessor through the Core 2 microprocessors. Okay, so then the question is, what is programming model? Okay, so what do you mean by the programming model? So the programming model refers to the microprocessor system, okay, as seen by the programmer. Okay, that is called as the programming model. Okay, and it involves the following. Which are those things? The internal registers of the microprocessor, okay, the instruction set of the microprocessor, okay, the addressing mode. Addressing modes are nothing but the way the microprocessor access the memory. Okay, that is called as the addressing mode. Okay, and then memory addressing with segmentation, memory addressing with the paging. Okay, so all these things are referred to as the programming model, okay, as seen by the programmer. Okay, so we'll discuss these things in detail one by one. Okay, so note here, the programming model of 8086 through Core 2 microprocessor is considered to be program visible. Okay, because its registers are used during programming and are specified by the instructions. Okay, so the programming model of 8086 through Core 2 microprocessor is considered as program visible because its registers are used during programming and are specified by the instructions. And other registers are considered to be program invisible register because they are not directly addressable during application programming, but they are indirectly use during the system programming. Okay. So program visible registers can be used directly during programming, okay, and are specified by instructions. Whereas program is invisible registers cannot be addressed directly during the programming. Okay, so but they are indirectly used during the system programming. So in the programming model, we have the program visible registers as well as the program invisible registers. Okay, so only 286 and above microprocessor contain the program invisible registers. Okay, whereas 8086 and 8088 microprocessor contains only the program visible registers. So observe the diagram here. So this figure shows the programming model of the 8086 through the Core 2 microprocessor. Okay. So observe the diagram properly. Okay. So if you observe here, okay, we have 16-bit registers, we have 32-bit registers, and we have 64-bit registers. Okay. So the earlier 8086, 8088, and 80286 contain the 16-bit registers. Okay, that means they are 16-bit architecture. Okay, when I say 16-bit architecture, its instruction sets, its register, the control unit, the arithmetic and logical unit are built to operate on the 16-bit data. Okay, and I can observe here. So this part is complete. So this part. Okay, so all 8086, 88, and 8026 contain 16-bit architecture. So that means they make contain 16-bit registers. Okay, so which are those registers? AX, BX, CX, DX. Okay, BP, SI, DI, SP. Okay, and flags, and then IP, then CS, DS, ES, SS, FS, and GS. Okay. Then the 8036 and above microprocessor contain the 32-bit extended registers. Okay, so which is that? This part, this entire thing. Okay, contain the 32-bit registers. So which are the 32-bit register? They are named as EAX, EBX, ECX, EDX, EBP, ESI, EDI, ESP, and then E flags. Okay, and then EIP. Okay. Then the Pentium 4 and Core 2 microprocessor contain 64-bit registers. Okay, when operated in the 64-bit mode. Okay, this entire part. This entire, not including this. Okay, and these registers are RAX, RBX, RCX, RDX, RBP, RSI, RDA, RSP, R8, R9, R10, up to R15, and then R flags, and then RIP. Okay, so this figure, as I said, shows the programming model of 8086 through the Core 2 microprocessor. So this is the programming model of these microprocessors. Okay. So this programming model contain, as I said, the 8-bit registers, 16-bit registers, the extended 32-bit registers, and the 64-bit registers. Okay, and what do you mean by register? Anybody? Students? What do you mean by register? Registers are fast storage locations built into microprocessor itself for temporarily storing instruction and data. So they usually store the frequently used data and instructions, okay, in order to speed up the execution of the microprocessor. Okay. So the programming model contains these um, registers, okay, which are the 8-bit registers. The 8-bit registers are AH, AL, BH, BL, CH, CL, DH, and DL. Okay, see here. If you observe the programming model, no, okay. So the 8-bit registers are AH, AL, BH, BL, CH, CL, DH, DL. Okay, okay. They are the register names. Okay. So they are 8-bit register. When I say 8-bit register, so the length of the register is 8-bit. That means it can hold 8-bit data. Okay. Say for example, assume that I want to store the value 0. Okay. You convert this one into 8-bit 0. Okay. Then how many zeros you will have in 8-bit form? There are totally 8 zeros, isn't it? But all values are stored in hexadecimal. Okay. In case of the assembly language programming, convert these 8 zeros into hexadecimal, group 4 bits. Okay, then we'll get the hexadecimal equivalent. Okay, then the hexadecimal value of 0 is 0, 0. Okay, in 8-bit form. Okay, so you can store 8-bit data in these registers. Okay, and these registers are referred to when an instruction is formed using these 2-letter designation. There are 2-letter designation, isn't it? AH, 2-letter, AL, 2-letter letter. Say for example, I have an instruction called add AL, AH. Okay, so add in instruction, and AL and AH are the operands. Okay, so what this instruction will do, it will add the 8-bit content of AH with the 8-bit content of AL. Okay, with the result being left in the AL registers letter. And which are the 16-bit registers? The 16-bit registers are AX, BX, CX, DX, SP, BP, DA, SI, IP, flags, CS, DS, ES, SS, FS, and GS. Okay. Observe the programming model diagram here. Okay, so which are the 16-bit registers? AX, BX, CX, DX, BP, SI, DI, SP, and then flags, IP, CS, DS, ES, SS, FS, and GS. Okay. Note that here the shaded area represents the registers that are found in the 8086 microprocessor. Okay. This shaded area indicates, okay, the registers available are found in the 8086 microprocessor. Okay, so these are the 16-bit registers. When I say the 16-bit register means the length of the register is 16-bit. Okay, it can hold 16-bit of data. Okay, and in this 16-bit register, the first 4 16-bit registers, AX, BX, CX, DX, contain a pair of 8-bit registers. Okay, that means if you observe the diagram here, the first 4 16-bit registers, AX, BX, CX, DX, contain a pair of 8-bit registers. Which are those? AH, AL, BH, BL, CH, CL, DH, DL. That means AX contain AH and L, BX contain BH and BL. That means AX register is split into 2 8-bit registers. Okay. Similarly, BX register is split into BH and BL. Okay. And this BL holds the low byte and BH holds the high byte. That's the meaning. Similarly, CX contain CH and CL. DX contain DH and EL. Okay. And are referred to when an instruction is formed using these 2-letter designation. Say for example, add DX, CX. Okay. So this instruction will add the 16-bit content of CX register with the 16-bit content of DX register, with the result being stored in DX register. Okay. Similarly, we have 32-bit registers. So if you observe the diagram here, which are the 32-bit registers, which will have 32-bit names. So EAX, EBX, E stands here as extended. Okay. EAX, EBX, ECX, EDX, EBP, ESI, EDA, ESI, and then E flags and EIP. These are the 32-bit registers. Okay, and are referred to when an instruction is formed using these 3-letter designation. Say for example, EAX, 3-letter, no. Similarly, EBX, 3-letter. Okay, so here is an example: add ECX, EBX. Okay, so here the 32-bit content of EBX register will be added with the 32-bit content of ECX register. Okay. Similarly, which are the 64-bit registers? The 64-bit registers are, see the diagram here, okay? So these are the 64-bit registers. So the 64-bit registers are RAX, RBX, RCX, RDX, RBP, RSI, RDA, RSP, then R8 through R15, R flags, and RIP. Okay. Similarly, and are referred to when an instruction is formed using these three-letter designation. Example: add RCX, RBX. The 16-bit content of RBX is added with this. Sorry, 64-bit content of RBX is added with the 64-bit content of RCX. Okay. And it has additional 64-bit registers that are called R8 through R15. Okay, so these registers are available in only in the 64-bit architecture microprocessors, such as Pentium 4 and Core 2 microprocessors. Okay, these registers R8 through R15. So note here, some of the registers are used as the general purpose registers or multi-purpose registers. So what do you mean by general purpose registers or multi-purpose registers? These registers are used for almost any purpose. So that is why they are called as multi-purpose registers or general purpose registers. Okay, and some of these registers are used as the special purpose registers. Okay, so because they are used for special purpose only, okay, such as for storing the object address, okay, and other things, to hold the address of next instruction and so on. So in these set of registers, okay, 8-bit register to the 64-bit. So which are the multi-purpose registers? Okay, so the multi-purpose registers are these. Okay, RAX. So if you observe the diagram here, we have the register RAX. So this RAX, okay, is referenced as a 64-bit register. If you use it as a 64-bit register, what is the name of the register? The name of the register is RAX. Okay, and it can be referenced as a 32-bit register. If you want to use it as a 32-bit register, what is the name? EAX, stands for extended AX register. Okay, and it can be referenced as a 16-bit register AX, and it can be referenced as either of two 8-bit registers AH and AL. Okay, and note that this RX register is also called as the accumulator. Okay, why it is called as accumulator? So answer is here. So the accumulator is used for instruction such as multiplication, division, and some of the adjustment instructions. Okay, that means many times when you perform the arithmetic and logical operations, no, so the results of these arithmetic and logical operations, okay, are stored and accumulated in this register. Okay, that means RAX or EAX or AX, AH, and AL. Okay, so all these registers are called as accumulator. Okay. So any doubts so far, students? Any doubts? You have to respond. I'm audible. Are you there? Are you with me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any doubts so far? Shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So then another multi-purpose register is RBX. So this RBX register can be addressable as RBX as a 64-bit register, as a 32-bit register EBX, as a 16-bit register BX, or either as a two 8-bit registers BH and BL. Okay. And this BX register is also called as the base register. Okay, because it sometimes it holds the offset address of a location in the memory system in all the versions of the microprocessor. Okay. So sometimes this BX register is used to hold the offset address. So offset address is nothing but so in order to access a location in memory, okay, the physical address or the actual memory location consists of two parts. Okay, so one is the segment address and the other one is the offset address. Okay, so physical address is equal to segment address plus offset address. Okay, so most of the time we use the RBX register to hold the offset address. Okay. And the next multipurpose register is RCX. Okay, it can be referenced as RCX 64-bit register, ECX 32-bit register, CX 16-bit register, or a pair of 8-bit registers, CH or CL. Okay, and this RCX is used as a count register. Okay, so this is called as a count register that also holds the count for various instructions. Say, for example, the shift and rotate instruction uses this CX register as a count. Then next multipurpose register is RDX, which can be addressable as 64-bit register RDX, 30-bit register EDX, 16-bit register DX, okay, 8-bit register DH or DL. And this DX register is sometimes called as the data register. Okay, and it is a general purpose register also. Okay. And what it holds, this RDX holds a part of the result from a multiplication or part of dividend before a division. Then we have other multipurpose register, RBP. Okay, it can be addressable as RBP, EBP, or BP, and it points to a memory location for memory data transfer. Okay, again, this can hold offset address, okay, of a memory location. We'll come to know what is offset address, what is segment address later. Okay. Then RDI, multipurpose register, addressable as RDI, 64-bit register, EDI, 30-bit register, or DI. Okay. Note that this register is not split into two 8-bit register. Okay. Only the first four registers. Okay, which are those? The first four 16-bit registers, AX, BX, CX, and DX. Okay, are divided into pair of 8-bit register. And this is often addresses string destination data for the string instructions. Okay, so RDI here DI stands for the destination index. Okay, so it is used to point to the destination string whenever you are working with the string instructions. Okay, so whenever you point to the destination string, we'll store the base address of the destination string in this DI register, or you point to the destination string using the DI register. Okay. And then we have RSI. It can be addressable as RSI, ESI, or SI. So 64-bit register RSI, 30-bit register ESI, and 16-bit register SI. Okay. So SI stands for source index here. Okay. So this addresses the source string data for the string instructions. Okay. That means it is used to point to the source string. Okay. Whenever you are working with the string instructions. And these RDA and RSI can also function as the general purpose registers. Okay. That means it can be used for almost any purpose. That is the meaning of general purpose register. Okay. And the registers R8 to R15. If you observe the diagram here, we have the registers R8 to R15. That is R8, R9, R10, etc. up to R15. Okay. And they are found only in the Pentium 4 and Core 2 microprocessor. Okay. If 64-bit extensions are enabled. So that is about the multi-purpose registers. Okay. Then some registers are used as special purpose registers. Which are those? Special purpose registers include the RIP, RSP, and R flags. Okay. So if you observe the programming model diagram here, no. So which are the special purpose register? RIP, RSP, R flags. Where is RIP? See here. this one. So RIP can be addressable as 64-bit RIP, 32-bit EIP, and 16-bit IP. Okay, and the special purpose registers also include the segment registers. Which are the segment registers? These are the segment registers: CS, DS, ES, SS, FS, and GS. Okay, so these are the special purpose registers. Okay, so we'll discuss one by one each of these special purpose registers. First one is RIP. So IP stands for the instruction point here. Okay, so in RIP, IP stands for instruction pointer. So what it does, it addresses the next instruction in a section of memory, and that section of memory is called as the code segment. Okay, so usually in case of 8086 microprocessor or any other microprocessor, no, the memory is divided into number of segments. Okay, we'll discuss what are these segments later. Okay, and all the program codes or instructions are stored in the code segment. Okay, so this RIP addresses the next instruction in a section of memory defined as the code segment. Okay, so the instruction pointer simply points to the address of the next instruction. Okay, then RSP. So RIP can be used as or addressable as I said, 64-bit RIP or 32-bit EIP or 16-bit IP register. Then next special purpose register is RSP, addresses an area of memory called the stack. So this is used to address an area of memory called the stack. Okay, as you know that stack memory is used to hold the data and instructions temporarily. Okay. Then how do you point to this stack memory? Okay, so we need to use this special purpose register RSP. Okay, RSP is referenced as 64-bit register RSP, 32-bit register ESP, okay, or 16-bit register SP. Okay, so the stack memory stores data through this pointer. And then we have the segment register, as I said. CS stands for code segment, DS stands for data segment, ES stands for extra segment, SS stands for stack segment. Okay, and then we have FS and GS. Then we have R flags. Okay, in the programming model, which is the R flag here. This one, this part. R flags register, okay, addressable as 64-bit register R flags, okay, or 32-bit flag register E flags, or 16-bit flag register flags.